This Appendix episode of Bonfireside Chat is brought to you by all kinds of things, including our Patreon, patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv, and our charity event, Duckstream. So go to Duckfeed.tv/Duckstream. Do both those things. Umbasa.
Some of our landings were desperate adventures. We are now prepared to meet the inevitable counterattacks with power and with confidence.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Kole Ross.
And I'm Nick Glauber.
And you're listening to a Bonfireside Chat Appendix. It is a cursed appendix.
Yes.
Like the one I had removed in '06.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was evil, and it was sapping life from your real appendix.
Yeah. It was a force for the dark. It was an appendix so peaceful, it was unto the dark.
Yep. Oh, and this week we are reading your responses to the Dark Chasm of Old and the Giants memories.
Yeah. And as you heard, we have Nick joining us again from Check It Out Comrade and also from Friendship in Real Life. Hey, Nick.
Yep.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Thank you for sticking around.
Of course.
Thank you for nicking around.
Yeah.
Thank you for globbing onto us. Globbering onto us.
I can't sanction this.
Yeah. Guys, he was a gator boy. I said, see you later, boy.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Cock-a-doodle-doo. Yeah, so we have miles to go before we sleep, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started here with Ben. Ben says via contact. You had mentioned that Lucatiel was the Solaire-like character of this game, but I had associated her more strongly with Ostrava of Boletaria. For one thing, her quest is much more personal. Both Lucatiel and Ostrava are searching for a loved one, which is a goal we can more strongly relate to than the abstract find my own son quest that Solaire has. In addition, if Kole is right, and she has come back after finding Azlatiel, then the result of her questline is more similar to that of Ostrava. Her mission culminates with a technical success. She has found her loved one, only to realize that he is a mere fragment of the man that she once knew. This again is how Ostrava's quest ends, with his understanding that his father has become a demon. The characters even both commit suicide upon realization of what they had sought was just a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
I completely forgotten about Ostrava in our summation of that.
Yeah, it's so easy to forget
I'm
Demon
sold.
Souls lore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like in general, like it's there and it's good, and I like it, but I don't always have it at the top of my brain.
Yeah, when I'm looking for connections and references, Dark Souls 1 is just so much closer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But that makes sense. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Continuing with follow-up, we have Ryan who writes in via contact saying, I'm a bit surprised you guys didn't mention that the Guardian Dragon and his identical twins in the Eyrie are not actually dragons. By both classic Draconian naming conventions and established Dark Souls naming conventions, the creatures that are the Guardian Dragon are actually drakes. 6 limbs equals dragons, 4 legs, 2 wings, and 4 limbs are drakes. 2 hind legs and wings attached to the forelegs. Then you also have worms and wyverns, which by name never appear in Dark Souls, but we get serpents instead, which make up for what they lack in limbs by having enormous, goofy teeth. I read the Guardian Dragons as failed experiments of Aldea, and it's supported both by their location and the fact that they are able to reproduce. Dragons have no need to lay eggs as they are outside of the cycle of life, and the cycle of life and death, and therefore do not or cannot reproduce. I wouldn't call them a complete failure because they are pretty darn close to actual dragons and seem to be able to sustain their own population autonomously. Not quite curing the undead curse, but still pretty impressive nonetheless. Whether or not you buy into the idea that the ancient dragon, which is neither ancient nor an actual dragon, actually is Aldea or not, it stands to reason that it was at the very least created by Aldea, and the drakes preceding it were put in place as bodyguards. After all, it must be called the Guardian Dragon for a reason, even though it's a drake. Very well put.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we know that the ancient dragon, we don't think we argue that it was a real dragon. Mm-hmm. And the egg point is really interesting. I wonder how the ancient dragon egg fits into that, though. Mm-hmm. Like, so there is one dragon egg that seems at least explicitly to be from a real dragon. So, like, if that is the case, then it's possible that dragons do lay eggs. Mm-hmm. even though like the argument that they don't need to because they're outside of life and death makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Was it this pops up somewhere that which is not born cannot die, or that which is cannot die is not born, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I just don't know what that egg is that's doing there, but who even knows?
Yeah.
And it also could have been like if they were originally born from eggs and they just primordial eggs that just popped out of like God's cloaca and then just gave birth to the dragons. And that one just happens to be petrified.
I love the idea of God being a big chicken.
Well, God could be like an old man, but he definitely has a cloaca.
Oh yeah.
Like there's no way that like the supreme being of efficiency uses more than one orifice
it's a
for
life
all that
hack.
stuff.
It's a life hack.
Yeah,
if you have multiple holes down there.
Yeah, that's just making things complicated. Like God needs somewhere to pour his used soylent from, and it's his front cloaca.
Sounds like somebody's working for his ass. Simplify, man.
Yeah. And then the Drake Dragon stuff, like it always seems to me that like I don't know, it seems interchangeable to me, but like I can see that point, like the 4 arms, 2 arms thing. Like I played enough D&D where like they're all dragons. I guess in Dark Souls, the Hellkite Drake, versus the ancient dragon. Like I guess that does make sense. That is consistent, but I never really saw significance in it. Not saying that there isn't significance, but I never actually saw some.
Like if there is a significance, it's the distinction between, are these basically gods or are they things that look like gods?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So our next comment is from Illusory Wall. And it says, regarding the aggro range of the ogre in Aldia's Keep, I tried to get it to follow me, but it wouldn't go down the stairs at all. I was also wondering if there is a way to lure it down to break the cart in the hallway, since there's no way to break it. It seems like it could have been a good spot to hide a pickaxe-like secret. So I also tried luring Mirror Squires over, the Mimic, everything I could think of, but nothing would either go that far or be able to break it. And the Mimic, apart from its attacks not working, you can tell doesn't belong in that hallway because it gets glitchy and does a disappearing, reappearing trick when it's near the cart. Regarding Novlon, there was an interesting hypothesis posted on Reddit recently that the Mansion of Majula was his. And he includes a link. I don't know how we're going to want to include that in here, but
yeah, it'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, okay. So it'll be in the show notes. And it says, while I don't agree with every point of speculation in the topic, I think that the overall idea is sound. We know from the descriptions of a few hexes that the heretic Novlon was executed along with his entire village, and the mere utterance of his name became a crime. The idea that the village in question in Majula works for me, I think he meant is Majula, works for me in several ways. It's a ruined village, and though everything being in ruins is a staple of Souls games, you can usually find hollowed inhabitants or stragglers that have some relationship to the area. In Majula, everyone seems to have traveled from somewhere else, possibly because all the original villagers were killed along with Novlon. There are no natives in sight. Novlon's attempts to restore the banned arts of resurrection could also have something to do with the big book in the mansion. He must have been doing research in order to restore said arts, and the library certainly looks like a place where research was being done. It could also be a connection between Kale and Novlon. Novlon says that Kale touched him, perhaps to take the mansion key so that he could get access to the map.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I hadn't considered that. It adheres to the rule of the conservation of villages.
Yeah. Well, and also the idea, like, I mean, the achievement you get for everyone showing up at the village is that gathering of exiles. Like, the idea is that these aren't people who are native here. The Moglin even says something to that effect, I believe, that he just set up shop there because he's originally from, what is it? That other place?
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember. Yeah, some fantasy kingdom. I can't remember. But yeah, that makes like a lot of sense. I think that way back in the day when we were first talking about it, I was positing that it was possible that Aldia worked out of that shack.
Yeah.
Before he was granted a keep with the rise of Vendrick. But this makes sense too.
Yeah, like that it is that this was his vacation lab. And he was tossing his failed experiments down the pit. But I would imagine Navlon had some failed experiments too, especially if he was dealing with resurrection, and also like that would probably have something to do with the curse of life and undeath, right?
Yeah, and the fact that enemy placement, that was when I had a lot more faith in enemy placement being important in Dark Souls 2. So the fact that the dogs from the basement of Aldia's Keep being in the gutter seemed to definitely mean something, and then now who knows?
Yeah.
Because, bleh. But yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Illusory. And everybody who is listening to this should go back and listen to our episode with on data mining with Illusory, because he is a super nice guy.
Yeah.
And everyone should read his blog because it's wonderful.
Yeah. It will teach you a lot about Dark Souls.
Yep. So we have a couple little bits of fun in and response as well. So we have a comment on the episode about the Doors of Pharos and Brightstone Cove. So getting the Wayback Machine. Because someone mentioned Scavens, and it turns out Scavens are from a board game, Chaos in the Old World. This is a 4-player competitive Warhammer-based game, super unbalanced, and there are brodents in it. So brodents are the best. Praise the dark. So the gentleman, Strength in Numbers is the name, the guy's handle. So interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It was a reference that went over our heads.
Yeah, we don't know what Scavens are. It's like all those Doctor Who references.
Yep.
And because I was super short, I'll read this just fun in contact from James. James says via contact, while listening to the most recent podcast, the one on Aldea's Keep and the Dragon Shrine, the argument on Aldea led me to my new headcanon on what happened to him. I want to believe that Aldea did find a cure for the curse and just died. I know it's not dramatic, but it is funny. Yeah. Like, he figured it out.
I like an anticlimax.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Cool. Moving on to the responses about the actual episode, or the actual areas here. Jeremy Greer writes in via Facebook saying, I profoundly love going into the giant memories. Normally in Dark Souls 2, you're playing through a basically empty and stagnant area. Nothing is really going on. The NPCs aren't really moving around, and the enemies mostly stand there until you come along. With the memories, things are actually happening. Bombs are being dropped, soldiers are fighting giants, literal stone heads are rolling. It's exciting and very dynamic. Tons of fun to play through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You mentioned that in the main episode, but I do like when Dark Souls 2 does something the series hasn't done before.
Yeah.
You know, like does an actual area that is not a reference to Dark Souls 1. Go ahead with Dalton. Sorry to cut you off, Nick.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So Dalton says, all right, I'd like to offer up my interesting but most likely insignificant discovery in the Pilgrims of Dark Covenant. Upon diving into the dark from one of the several transports, your character will appear in a dark blackish purple tint. Your weapon will also share the same color palette. That is, except for one weapon. I found that Ben Hart's Blue Moon Greatsword is the only weapon in your inventory that does not maintain this purple color. It instead appears in its typical bright blue glow. But why? Upon receiving the sword from this proud knight, we find out that it's a fake. But does this reveal a secret power within? A power to reject the darkness? Probably not. That was his comment, not mine.
Yes.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. Intentional?
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows, Dark Souls 2?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you always have that tint, or does it depend on whether you are human or hollow when you go in?
I don't know.
I thought there was something that I thought it depended.
Yeah. I'm never looking at my character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that is the reason that I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, I feel like there's something to that, but I don't actually know. I had to look that up.
Yeah.
So forgive us. Yeah. So Matt says via contact. And yeah, thank you for your comment. That is super interesting if that is true.
Mm-hmm.
If that is the secret power of the thing. I wonder if people have tried a bunch of stuff with that, like just killed Dark Lurker with it and things to see if it's done anything.
To see if it ascends.
Yeah. Yeah. See if it turns into the Ultra Blue Moon. So Matt says, I missed the opportunity to leave feedback on the Aldea's Keep episode, so I thought the wrap episode would be the next best time to bring this up. It's easy to draw parallels between Lucatiel and Solaire, but I also see a connection there with Casca from Berserk. They're both women with swords who are always second best and ultimately fail, losing their identities. The end of Lucatiel's story fit well into the setting and everything, but I can't help but see some very everyday video game misogyny there. You get the chance to make friends with several other warrior characters who happen to be men, like Ben Hart, Peyton Creighton, in Dark Souls 2. And they can all end up just fine in the end if you let them. I think it would bother me less if Dark Souls 2 didn't already have a trend of women as deceiving traitors. As somebody for whom the fantasy genre and feminism are both very important, I can't not speak up about how much it gets to me after Dark Souls 1 was one of the very few fantasy titles in which you could play through without having to put up with any weird fantasy female armor and other generally problematic nonsense. Dark Souls 2 is really growing on me, but the representation is one of the ways it really falls short of its predecessor. As for the actual topic of the episode, Pilgrims of Dark. Dark Rival Grandel has quickly become one of my favorite characters. It was before the DLC was announced And after having played through the game several times with other characters and listening to everyone else beat around the bush about dark this and dark that, I was incredibly satisfied to have Grandal finally let me in on the joke. The best feeling in Dark Souls is always the one that you get when you hear that new area text fade into your screen, you know? As a melee-focused character, it was refreshing to be faced with these Dark Chasm challenge areas that I was only able to make it through by pulling out every trick I had in my sleeve, from poison arrows to parries. Imagine my surprise then when I found that forearm jackass at the bottom was the last one. To keep it short, the Dark Lurker was an awesome challenge that really made me feel Dark Souls new again.
Yeah.
Yeah. That first point, I think we talked about that a little bit. The Lady Deceivers in Dark Souls 2, which is a little tricky, but I will say that the DLCs add a little shade to that in a way that is a little bit pleasant. But I also do not like the idea of the scheming queen
Yeah.
with Nashandra and with Mithra. Or Mytha rather.
Yep. It's a little bit disappointing, especially after something. I don't know. Would you consider Sigland to be roughly progressive? Like, she is far more competent than her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say roughly. So I think that like Dark Souls 1 doesn't have a lot of female characters in it who aren't, Quelaag. But Sigland's good.
Yeah.
But I think that a crime of omission rather than just kind of straight up having ladies and having them be, sinister temptresses, is better. If Mytha wasn't there, I would be quicker to forgive it. Because like just having Nashandra, okay. And the Daughters of Manus is really evocative. And they do more things with it in the DLC.
Yeah.
But Mytha is real, like, and especially since she's super vain and then turns out to be like her ugly Naga lady.
Yep.
Like that's disappointing.
A little bit.
Oh yeah. And then, what's her head? Scorpion lady?
Oh, Najka?
Yeah, Najka. Also, like an insane lady that you get to team up with her betrothed to put her out of her misery.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
unfortunate.
bad.
Because of a touch of the hysteria.
Yeah. That is unfortunate. And that is definitely something we're going to talk about in the wrap-up when we start really hitting Nashandra. Not in the way that one should never hit Nashandra.
Yeah.
But in the way we're going to start talking about Nashandra.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to beat the game, you're kind of going to have to.
Yeah, if you want to beat the game, you have to beat Nashandra, and that's unfortunate. Not to make light of something that's very serious.
No.
But I would be interested to hear what Matt thinks about the way that the DLC characters are handled, because I think there's a lot more shade to it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. I hadn't considered the Casca connection.
Yeah. That's great too.
Did they release the Eclipse episode, like the movie for Berserk?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I haven't been following it. I kind of want to get back into reading the comics, but I want to wait for a bunch of them to come out, and they don't actually. There might be one more that came out, but it's just one individual issue.
Yeah.
That's not really worth my time.
Right.
So on my deathbed, I'll actually read the end of the saga. But
assuming it ever ends.
Yeah, which it won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to close this out?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So Max writes in via context saying, Giants memories. Before playing through the memories, I felt bad for the Giants. There was some real pathos about the tree corpses in the forest of fallen giants, and the last giant successfully evoked the dignity that many enemies had in Dark Souls 1. And he links to an article that quotes the DesignWorks book about Miyazaki talking about dignity in Dark Souls enemies. After playing through the memories, though, fuck giants. I swing my mace through space to eradicate the giant race, and I leave a canyon where they used to have a face.
That's whimsical.
I do not like them.
Yeah, I do not like them. Bonfireside chat. I do not like them with a hat.
Yep. So why the change? It's mostly because I hated those giant pyromancers with the incredible aim. But this show is all about the English major takes, so I'll offer one of those as well. It's hard to sympathize with creatures that have no discernible facial features. The trees and the last giant used posture and body language to suggest emotional affect, slumping shoulders and sagging heads for sadness and regret, a tilted head for recognition, violent thrashing for all-consuming rage. Aside from the giant lord, no such care was taken in designing the animations for the giants we fight in these memories. We cannot interpret anything about their inner lives, and so any meaning we can extract from the encounter is derived from the mechanics of the game. Hence, fuck giants.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, but also, like, these are just soldiers in the middle of a fight, too. Like, they're not sad or recognizing you or anything.
Yeah.
That was going to be my point as well.
Yeah.
They're just the peons.
Yeah.
I want to read the giant stone tablet version of All Quiet on the Drang Lake Front.
Yeah. Don't draw birds. Spoilers for All Quiet on the Western Front, I guess.
Spoilers for World War One.
Yeah, spoilers for World War One.
Well, I mean, they had already announced the sequel by the end of it. So.
When Franz Ferdinand ended up in the dark of the matinee, so to speak, and started World War One.
Oh.
Deep cut.
I'm not going to ask the question.
This is the second Franz Ferdinand single.
Oh, okay.
And it's just me saying that's dark of the matinee is not necessarily a good euphemism for dying. It's one of the many things that I've had a real crisis of faith lately where I think that I'm not actually smart. I'm just quick. Mm-hmm. And like, there is a difference between those two things. Like I was just like, oh, I'm not actually a smart person. I'm just fast. And that gets you a certain way, but it doesn't actually, in the end, I don't think it's going to help me out in my deathbed. So just to end on that kind of note.
Say in the end, it doesn't even matter.
And I would say in the end, it doesn't even matter.
And
it's been a
just
while
throwing
since
references out there. It really just only gets you halfway.
Yeah, it really ties the podcast together.
Yeah, honestly, like I did the short game podcast. I made some reference, and one of those guys like straight up called me out on it, and he should have, because I shouldn't have been just reference joking. But I just had that moment where I'm like, boy, who even am I? Who the fuck do I think I am?
Where do you get off?
Yeah, I had a real serious moment of introspection that came from that. It's like, oh yeah, maybe I'm probably not nearly as smart as I think I am. So that's me. If you want to share with us whether you're as smart as you think you are, how can they do that, Kole?
Well, they can go to Duckfeed.tv/contact. If we fucked anything up and you want to get anything into follow-up, that is the way to do that. Also, just in general, if there's something about Dark Souls you want us to hear, and more specifically and actionably, there's still a time, I assume, here to write us any questions you have about speedrunning in Dark Souls 2 for our next guest, Mr. Lobos Jr.
Yeah, just choose a sad introspection from the drop down.
Yeah,
and then we'll know that you're comparing yourself to what you could be. Check in with that contact. And Nick, where can people find you?
They can find me mostly on Check It Out Comrade, which is Duckfeed.tv/comrade. That's the primary thing I'm publishing at the moment. And you can also find me on Twitter myself at Nick Pancakes. And you can contact me for any Comrade-related stuff, or if you just like my voice and want to tell me that, on any of the Comrade social media outlets, such as @Comrade Podcast on Twitter or Facebook.com/CheckItOutComrade.
Yeah, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention at least one more time, end of the month, or near the end of the month,
November 21st and 22nd.
21st and 22nd, Duckstream, our 24-hour live stream to benefit Transactive, which is a gender center in Portland that educates and provides assistance and information to transgender youth and their families. Between the West Coast and Midwest branch of the Duckfeed universe, we are streaming for 24 hours. So you can go to Duckfeed.tv/Duckstream to check out information about that.
Yeah, I'm going to stream a survival horror game. I'm working on making it a rare one.
Nice. So Banjo-Kazooie Lost in the Nightmare?
Yep. Yep, it's the rare haunted Banjo-Kazooie cartridge.
That funny. It was just quick.
Yeah. But I yes-anded it, and I said, ooh, there's a haunted Banjo-Kazooie cartridge like Pokemon Black.
Yeah. It's just, we have a lot of thinking to do, guys.
Well, no, it doesn't matter the thing itself as long as it sets up something else behind it. You're good.
That's true.
Okay.
That's
like
true.
We're not in this alone. It is a group effort.
Yeah. I appreciate that, guys. All right. Listen to some deleted scenes, guys.
Boss.
Of the Gamergate variety or what?
Yeah. Like the toxic Gamergate bro. He's a gamer boy. He's a gator boy, so I say see you later, boy.
That's so dumb.
I'm not that dumb. I was pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I don't feel good about laughing at it. It's fine.
I feel good about saying it.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to say it again. He was a gator boy, so I said, see you later, boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So I'm gonna do something I never do and share a dream story. if that's okay.
I love hearing about dreams.
I know, right? But it's short and sweet, and it's also relevant. So I had
So I was sucking both your dicks.
Yep,
And
at the same time.
yeah.
It was crazy.
So it was weird.
I'm so
Anyway.
into this. See,
My name is Kole Ross.
yeah. No, I never have dreams, and I hate hearing about other people's dreams, but this is good enough, right? It passes muster. I was stood up by a woman on a date, right? Like, I'm sitting in the restaurant real sad, feeling down on myself, and who comes up to console me other than Shaquille O'Neal?
Oh, hey. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Shaq.
Hey, Shaq. Yeah. Oh, just get back out there. She doesn't know what she's missing. I don't know where that came from.
When a lady does stand you up, she's a Shaq Black. Yeah.
Oh, man. Did you say Shaq Black?
I said Shaq you lack.
Oh, Shaq you lack. Okay. Yeah.
Shaq you lacking.
Yep. I think at one point he promised to gift me something on Steam.
Yeah. Have you seen that thing in the Something Awful Terrible Life Hacks thread? It's like the group of people who go to restaurants and pretend to be stood up on dates in order to get free food.
Oh, yeah. And like the live tweets about them really trying to milk waiters for it.
Yeah. What the fuck?
I've never heard of this. That's crazy.
That's the worst.
Sitting in a restaurant, putting on a performance for 3 hours to get what is probably a $12.99 Applebee's steak.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe like a fajita brownie like at the end, but like nothing worth your time or your dignity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's I saw that not in the life hacks thread. Is that the one that's also like the most bachelor thing you've ever done kind of thing? Or is
no, they're different threads.
Oh, so that's the one I do read, and that's where I did see that. I figured, like, I read like 4 or 5 threads in PYF that are essentially the same thread.
Yeah.
Insofar as there's just like tremendous amount of cross posting between them, so I wasn't sure which one is in there. Now, this is the thread that is also talking about that Soylent dipshit who has eradicated poop from his life.
Yeah. Yeah. He destroyed his guts.
Yeah,
they never have to poop again.
He wrecks shop in his microbiome.
Yeah. Awful.
Yeah.
Well, that guy's a known piece of shit, so
Yeah.
this shit's fucking dumb.
Let's just feed Soylent to all the poor people.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take food away from them as well.
Yeah.
Fucking San Francisco. Yeah. That's the worst. Yeah. Did you end up beating Dark Lurker, Nick?
Nope. I'm gonna go in as the guy who couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You're not alone, Nick, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I feel like such an alpha boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, alpha. Let's do this.
I make no secret about being bad at games, so it's
No.
yeah. I tried. I gave it God's honest.
Yeah.
Me too. I gave it like a good 15, 20 tries.
Yeah.
No. It's okay. I'll play cock of the block on this little bad boy. Yep. And as cock of the block, I'd like to say he was a gator boy. I said, see you later, boy.
Just every time you feel the slightest bit superior, just say that.
Yeah.
That way we know.
Yeah.
And then after we laugh or fail to laugh, just pause for a minute and say, cock-a-doodle-doo.
Yeah. Just ding. I'll just edit in, laugh. We'll just loop. Ha 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 ha. Hey. My mom shared a screamer on my Facebook wall. So, thanks, Mom.
Cool.
Yeah. Good, cool. Cool job, Mom.
Gary likes spooky things.
And cool moms of Facebook.
Calendar, cool moms of Facebook, 2008.
Yep. Cool moms of Facebook. Sharing screamers all day long.
I know there's, like, was it effective? Did it get you? Did it spook you?
Yeah, it spooked me pretty good. It's just my mom's never done anything like that before, so.
And we all pray that we will have far more soon